Hello and welcome to Designer Market Update. Today is Friday, January 17th, 2025. So taking a look at Bitcoin price action, it's pretty remarkable. I mean, it wasn't that long ago it seemed as if though Bitcoin was like in the low $90,000 range. Now we're pressing up right at 105. In fact, at certain points today, Bitcoin was above $105,000 per coin. More impressively is that hash prices are above $60. They really took a big leap. The network hash rate's hovering at around just under 790, but it's the hash prices themselves though, like they were at only, I believe, 58 yesterday. Now they're 61 today. If we see that type of acceleration in hash price growth, I'm going to be really, really excited and intrigued if we can get into the mid-60s, hold that position, and then move on higher from there. But I'll tell you, it seems as if though Bitcoin is pumping, as some might say, based on a belief that the incoming administration of President Donald J. Trump will announce that the United States is going to implement something along the lines of a strategic Bitcoin reserve, or at least that seems to be what some of the chatter that's out there is indicating may be behind this surge in the price of Bitcoin. I've expressed some degree of skepticism as to whether or not that would actually take place. It's not something I'll shed any tears over were it to be announced, simply because it would unequivocally push the price of Bitcoin dramatically higher. If you had a preemptive announcement, we, the United States of America, are going to purchase, say, 1 million Bitcoin, not $1 million US worth of Bitcoin, but 1 million actual coins in the open market. Who wouldn't want to front run that? Right? So, yes, it would be amazing if that happens. Okay, let's just, let's both agree. It'll be amazing if that happens. I'd be hard-pressed to believe it will happen. What I do think is more likely, as I've alluded to before, is that you'll have a regulatory environment with clarity, rules that everybody believes are fair and that make sense and that aren't onerous. An environment that's friendly towards Bitcoin development, right, in various ways. If that's all that happens, what else could we ask for? I mean, that, I think, by itself will pave the way for incredible innovation here in the United States, at least, as it relates to Bitcoin. So we'll see. Will the price of Bitcoin collapse if the Trump administration just comes right out and says, no, you know what, actually, upon further review, we're not going to be buying any Bitcoin in the open market. Hey, if we've seized any, like due to like illicit activities or whatever, okay, we'll hold on to that Bitcoin. We're not going to sell it. I think that's, arguably more likely, although I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, the Biden administration in its closing days was attempting to sell off a bunch of Bitcoin held by the US. So, I mean, we'll see. But right now, I'm very impressed by Bitcoin price action, and if it keeps it up, I think we could be going into the 110 range, 115, 120. We might be on the path now to really, get this bull market going. So we'll see, right? Now, turning our attention to Bitcoin mining stocks, the snapshot that I took, the market wasn't quite closed just yet, but GREE, as I like to call them, they were really surging up 10% today. I like Greenwich. They're largely based up in New York, just north of Pennsylvania, and I appreciate their story. I appreciate a lot of what they're doing. They don't often get a whole lot of attention, so it's kind of nice to see them atop the leaderboard today. TerraWolf in second spot, up over 9%, closing at $6.38 a share. And finally, Mara, just under $20 a share at $19.91, up nearly 9% today. In rock bottom position is Bitdeer. Bitdeer's had some pretty good days though. Can't be too sad for them. They closed at $20.82 a share, down just a little over 3%. Now, our beloved Bitfarms. What's going on with Bitfarms? So Bitfarms, at least during this little snapshot, was trading at about $1.68 a share. So that's up about 4 or so cents. Stronghold Digital Mining, back up above $4 a share at $4.04. So, I think it's one of those things where if we see the price of Bitcoin sustainably continue to move higher, if we see Bitfarms sustainably and consistently hitting its milestones, especially as it relates to deploying hash rate, if we see hash prices continue to surge, very important from an economic perspective for Bitfarms as well as the entire Bitcoin mining ecosystem, I do think we're going to start to see certainly shares in Bitfarms turn around. But we do need to get to that point where we've got 21 exahash out in the market. No ifs, ands, or buts about it, right? I mean, we were supposed to hit that target at the end of 2024. It got pushed out. We've got to hit that target. We need to be kind of like at baseline with 21 exahash. Really, really critical. Then anything above and beyond that, I think can help add momentum, right, to the stock. I think the stock is likely to get re-rated, as I've said before. Once we're at 21 exahash, hey, we're executing again. We're deploying, right, assets both at Scrubgrass, Panther Creek that may add to the hash rate potentially. I know there's a question out there about the 20,000 miners, right, that have been deployed to either site. And not to mention Sharon, Pennsylvania, right? What's going on there? Hey, are there any new partnerships that are going to be announced? As I interacted with somebody on X, they're like, hey, it's going to be really cool to see when Bitfarms starts announcing, hey, we've got some strategic partnerships, kind of like Core Scientific. And it's like, hey, if we start making some announcements to that effect, where, hey, we're bringing in partners, they're going to be deploying, be it HPC AI type equipment or Bitcoin mining machines, whatever the case may be, we're providing the energy, they're providing the, the compute assets, and there's like a revenue sharing agreement there where by default, we, meaning Bitfarms, is going to earn, as Ben pointed out in the recent presentation up in New York City, hey, we're going to earn a really good return on invested capital using that model. Okay, that's great in theory, but hey, once we start to see those partnerships, we get to look under the hood, see the details, and we realize, hey, it is a win-win situation. It's a win for Bitfarms, it's a win for the partner. Hell, it's a triple win, right? It's a win for the grid, because I think there's some important factors at play, at least within PJM, that I think Bitfarms can be a really good partner insofar as helping to alleviate in terms of congestion and different things in terms of like the use of electricity, without getting into the sort of the mechanics of it at this moment. So I'm optimistic. I see Bitfarms is trading a little higher. That's good. I know it's not that exciting, right, to see them at $1.68. I mean, we need to get to say $2 and maybe 20 cents again. I think we can then start to feel, all right, we're starting to drift in the right direction. And then let's keep it real. We want to see the stock hit $3 a share, 4, 5, 6, maybe even 7, 8, 9, and 10. You never know. It really depends on what these partnerships are going to bring. It depends on what the plans are going to be. It really just depends on whether or not we're executing as a company. But the sky's the limit. Once we really get into bull market mode, where we see Bitcoin really surging, I mean like really surging, if that were to happen, if we see hash prices cooperate, if we see the network hash rate not necessarily explode overnight so that we have that opportunity for hash prices to really run, I think this entire industry is going to get really hot again. And I think we're going to start to see what Ben articulated, right, as part of his vision, this idea that, hey, the thesis for investing in Bitfarms is because we're going to provide a return, hopefully, right, that's better than Bitcoin. And we got to start seeing these stocks like Bitfarms really start to outpace the performance of Bitcoin. And I do think that's possible, but it's all contingent on hitting the milestones, getting the 21 exahash, announcing some really interesting partnerships, and more than anything else, telling our story. I don't get paid to do this, but I try to get out there in front of the public, whoever's listening, so to speak. I mean, you and I go way back, right? If you're here from the Stronghold days, we've been having these conversations for a while. Hey, if you're, new to the Bitfarms family, so to speak, then, maybe we're only starting our conversations. But the point is, I'm trying to push information out there into the world, right? Which hopefully will have a small but measurable impact not just on the price of Bitfarms stock, right? But also just in terms of like the whole, attitude of the investor base, right? We want to try to be genuinely excited for what the company's doing, inject some optimism into this, couched with the reality that the company has to execute. Blind optimism's not going to do it. Although, to be fair, you and I both know there are a lot of companies out there with like virtually no revenue, no earnings, and yet they have a market cap that's like 5 times that of Bitfarms. So, I don't know. Maybe we'll get lucky, we'll catch a break, Bitfarms catches on somehow, and we'll see the stock explode for reasons that have nothing to do with operations. That's never something we're going to be upset about, right? That'll be awesome. But in the meantime, all we can really do is stay positive. We can be great. We'll see each other again next week. I'm not going to close with a quote, as I often do. I do want to close, though, by thanking you very, very much for supporting this broadcast, for supporting this channel, by liking broadcasts like these, by subscribing if you haven't done so already. Little things like that really cost you no money at all really help this channel. It really helps this broadcast. And if you happen to be a Bitfarms investor, I do believe that ultimately these broadcasts might end up just helping you directly, in the sense that we're trying to really, get some momentum behind these shares. And every little bit helps, my friends. So thank you for all of your support. I genuinely appreciate it very much. Okay, we'll see each other again next week.